All right, we are live. This time I call to order Planning and Zoning Board meeting, City of Lake City. The date is 9th of April, 2024. Will all please rise for the pledge, remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Lord, thank you for your grace and mercy. Bless our deliberations this day. Give us wisdom to make sound recommendations. We ask all these blessings in your name, Lord. Amen.
You may be seated. Mr. Angelo, roll call of those present.
Ms. McCullough?
Here.
Mr. Nelson?
Here.
Mr. Mann?
Here.
And Mr. Lighty?
Present. All right, quorum is present and in attendance. Let's get moving. All right, electronically, the meeting minutes for our March 5th, 2024 session of Planning and Zoning were distributed. I trust everyone had the opportunity to review those minutes as they were sent out. At this time, are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes as electronically submitted? No. Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion for their adoption?
Motion that we adopt minutes.
That was a tie. Nelson with McCullough. All in favor, hand sign. Aye. Hands down. Likewise opposed. All right. We have minutes. Counselor. You have an announcement we need to make regarding ex parte before we begin items of business, or if you want us to just move straight through this text amendment?
I would say that the text amendment would not be quasi-judicial, so I would say go through that, and then before we start the actual land use applications and considering those, then do the ex parte communications inquiry.
And will you want to do that for each and every petition, or do it once cumulatively per meeting?
We can do it all at the beginning.
Very nice. All right, old business, petition or text amendment, LDR 24-03, which was tabled at our previous session of 6th February 2024. Do we have a motion to untable and bring to the floor this text amendment?
Motion to untable LDR 24-03.
Second.
Mann, Nelson, by hand sign. Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right, it is open for discussion. LDR 24-03, a text amendment to the Land Development Regulations, Section 4.2 and Sections 4.4 through 4.17, more specifically amending the parking requirements for the City of Lake City. Mr. Young, would you like to come forward and briefly introduce this text amendment proposal?
This text amendment is just as you've read, and it's bringing up to date our parking requirements and our land development regulations to be more consistent with other jurisdictions our size and in the same areas.
All right, and aside from section 4.2.15.17, the variance procedure, were there any other substantive changes to this draft over the one that was tabled on 6th of February?
No, sir.
Okay, that was the only addition that was
That
made.
was it.
All right. Anything else for City Rep?
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So I'm comparing what is in the inline land amendment that is part of the agenda packet to the proposed corresponding ordinance to go before City Council. And this just may be an issue of miscommunication between our office and the Growth Management Office, but consistently where we've stricken provisions, there is in what is in front of us tonight, there's a phrase that says see section 4.2.15. In what we've prepared to go to the City Council, the language in lieu of that says see paragraph 4.2.15.16 and paragraph 4.2.15.17. Which one do we want to recommend from this body so that we make sure that we get the correct version in front of the council when we present the ordinance?
I think unlike a charter or a code, we reference by section or by article.
Correct.
I don't think we ever reference anything by paragraph and then a numeric afterwards.
So we've
on
got
the-
section, we've got article, section, subsection, and then typically under that, the next level down would be a paragraph.
Yeah.
We can call it whatever, paragraph, section, or so forth, but what is in front of you tonight only goes to 4.2.15. What we prepared to council goes 4.2.15.16, so it goes one more level deeper in specificity, and that's what I'm more concerned about. We can call it paragraph, section, subsection, I don't care. But we need to make sure we're going to the right actual number reference. And there's a difference between the ordinance and what's in front of the P and Z board tonight.
Yeah, I would say we'll go more with what was in the ordinance, where it's more specific to the paragraph.
Okay, and just for matters of consistency, do we want to reference that fourth level as a paragraph or a subsection?
I've always referred to it as a subsection.
Okay, so we will amend then what goes in front of council to reference them as subsections rather than paragraphs,
Yes.
but we'll leave the numbering the same. So, okay, that's it.
All right, if there's nothing else for Mr. Young, I believe you can be seated. At this time, is there anyone present that would like to speak either for or against proposed text amendment LDR 24-03 as presented? Swear the testimony you're about to give before the board this evening, to the best of your knowledge and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Very nice.
Carol Chadwick, 1208 Southwest Fairfax Glen, Lake City, Florida.
All right.
Well, per your request, I have reviewed the parking regulations as they submitted them to me probably a couple months ago, and I think that they did a great job. I really like the format and having everything in one location, regardless of what zoning you're in. It makes it a lot easier for people to use. And I especially like the fact that you can ask for a variance if if the project needs that. So I think they did an excellent job, and I'm very pleased with them.
All right, did you see anything that, in your professional opinion, might be a sticky wicket a few years down the road if we move forward with the adoption of this proposed text amendment?
Well, I believe there could be something hidden in there that isn't picked up on right now, without like applying it to a specific project. That at that point, someone might find something that isn't, completely accurate, but just reading through it, I could not find anything.
All right. Anything else? All right, you may be seated. All right, is there anyone else present this evening that would like to speak either for or against proposed text amendment LDR 24-03? All right, hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close public comment.
Second.
Nelson, McCellum, all in favor by hand sign? Aye. Hands down. Likewise opposed. All right, it's unanimous, Mr. Angelo. All right, at this time, discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. I got one for you, Mr. Angelo. In addition to us internally vetting this and asking a professional in the field to take a look at it, did we have anyone in any of the other city departments take a look at this that weighed in substantively to either you or the department?
Everybody has seen it, but nobody really weighed in. I did, the board asked to send it out to a lot of local businesses. So we did send it out to all the businesses that are licensed in the city of Lake City, which is like 700 something businesses. And so we sent it out to all of them, looking for feedback. We only got a handful of comments, and everybody was in support of it.
Nice.
And this goes on to city council.
Yes.
And then procedurally, once this moves forward to city council, if it passes this board, does this require multiple readings?
Yes.
Okay.
And I believe it is on the agenda for first reading next Monday,
Okay.
assuming it passes out of this board tonight, so.
Any other discussion amongst members of the board or with city departments or council? Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove text amendment proposal LDR 23-03 as presented by the city of Lake City?
And Mr. Chair, on that motion, if the person who moves it could also state with the amendments suggested by council.
Okay.
So move to approve LDR 24-03 with amendments as stated by council.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Angelo, please call the yeas and the nays.
Mr. McCollum?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
And Mr. Leidig?
Yay. All right, LDR 24-03 passes unanimously. Let's move it along to city council along with its amendments from our counselor over here. That takes us out of old business and that moves us into new business. Petition SPR 24-03. Petition by Dalton Kurtz as owner for Justin Trimback, owner for a site plan review for Legends at Lake City, a residential multifamily 2 zoning district located upon parcel 02463, which is regulated by Land Development Regulations, Section 4.9.
And Mr. Chair, if I could inquire as to the, any ex parte communications on this and the next 2 items as well. The applicant for the next 2 items are petitions submitted by Ms. Chadwick for MHP Junior LLC. And let's see, and then also Ms. Chadwick to amend the zoning atlas for the same parcel. And we'll start with Ms. McCollum. Ms. White.
Nothing outside my duties of assembling the agenda.
Okay.
None.
And none, okay, so let the record reflect that each member for each of the next 3 items indicated no ex parte communications. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very nice, thank you. To introduce the petition, Mr. Young, would you like to step down on behalf of the city? And as this is an SPR and this will be quasi judicial and you are an official of the city, I'll let him go ahead and swear you in.
Do you swear that the information you're about to give on application SPR 24-03 will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, thank you, Mr. Young.
All right. What are we looking at?
This is the Legends at Lake City, project number SPR 24-04, parcel number 02463-000. This is the site plan review. The future land use is residential high. The proposed future land use is residential high. The zoning designation is residential multifamily 2. And the proposed zoning is residential multifamily 2. Proposed use of the property is multifamily dwellings, and the land is conducive for use per LDR section 4.9.2.3. And the staff review notes from directors and city staff, if you read, have no issues with it. The project is for a site plan review that has been reviewed by city staff. It is, application is sufficient for review. After review of the petition, the city staff has determined the petition is consistent with the land development regulations and the comprehensive plan. And at this time, the city has no concerns.
All right, anything else from Mr. Young? All right, you may be seated. All right, we have either Mr. Trimback or Mr. Kurtz present to speak as proponent on this petition. swear the testimony you're about to give before this board this evening, to the best of your knowledge and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Very nice. Name, spelling, and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
B. Dalton, D-A-L-T-O-N, Kurtz, K-U-R-T-Z, 21313, 180th Street, Live Oak, Florida, 32060.
All right, what would you like to try to accomplish this evening?
Everything Mr. Young said, it's currently an unused parcel, Land Pines, old borrow pit, dead end of Hall of Fame Drive. They're looking to put 1, 2, and 3 bedroom townhomes out there. We've already got the application into the Water Management District. City's reviewed it, and we are also going to be applying for a DOT drainage connection permit. Even though we're not connecting to any DOT roadways, our proximity to I-75, DOT has requested that we apply for a drainage connection permit, but I can just take all the calculations done for Soaring River, just forward it onwards to DOT to take care of that. But other than that, pretty straightforward, water, sewer, roads, stormwater.
Mr. Chair, I may have missed it. Was Mr. Kurtz sworn?
He was.
He was, okay. I was reading something else and just wanted to make sure for the record.
All right, anything from the board for the proponent?
I see there's 216 units.
No, sir, should be 192.
And although this doesn't necessarily relate to this specific petition, one of the things I was looking at when I was going through all the site plan drawings, which unfortunately aren't showing up on the slow internet right now, was the reason for bifurcating the large water retention feature at the thin end of the parcel on the north side.
You talking about the step pond?
Yeah.
Basically 2 of them?
Yeah.
There's such an elevation change on the back of it right there that to do one big pond, we would have to have a 15
Okay,
to
so
20 foot
it's a
berm.
matter of the topography of the land.
Yes, sir.
Anything else for the proponent? All right, thank you.
And Mr. Chair, just because we made this error in another hearing the other day, Mr. Young, are you moving the staff report in the application into the record?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, thank you.
All right, is there anyone here in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition SPR 24-03? Come on down. Swear the testimony you're about to give before the board this evening, to the best of your knowledge and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Very nice. Name, spelling, and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
Loretta, L-O-R-E-T-T-A, Nichols, N-I-C-H-O-L-S, 200 Northwest Astor Way.
Right.
Okay, well, really, we have questions. We want to know how this is going to affect us. Because we are across the street from where you guys are wanting to, or he wants to build.
So this would be the non-annexed county property immediately to the west of the proposed development site.
Yeah, because where they're wanting to develop is here. And we are
you planning
right
to
here.
introduce that as a evidentiary exhibit?
I guess, this is what they sent us in the mail.
Oh, that came from the city showing the
Yes.
project there, okay, that's already a matter of evidentiary record.
So how is this going to affect us? As far as traffic and all that good stuff? Right now, it's just a little old dirt road.
As part of the package, have you had a chance to review the package as submitted that was available on the city's website for the last few
No,
weeks?
this is my first time.
Well, at this time, Mr. Kurtz, are you able to speak towards some of the residents' concerns on this one?
If I could, yes, sir.
All right. Ma'am, you wanna have a seat, there in the front row. Before you step away, ma'am,
Yes,
if you can give certain specifics that you would like covered, obviously you've mentioned, traffic ingress and egress.
traffic, like us, we're on, we don't have city water, we have well sewer. Is this gonna affect us in that way, or we're gonna have to hook up when all that's ran for city, or we're gonna have to look into city? You know, it's just the, what do we have to do and how is it gonna affect us?
Okay. Are you prepared to, answer citizens' various questions in that regard?
Yes, sir.
Very nice. You may be
Thank
seated. Mr. Kurtz, I remind you, you are still under oath.
You might, like, what dirt road, what's the name of the road?
Astor Way,
Okay.
As far as the water and sewer, there shouldn't be any issues. We've got multiple connection points running along Hall of Fame Drive. The last manhole is where it's actually gonna dead end right there. The site itself is going to run off of a lift station that takes it to there. There's currently nothing feeding into it. There's approximately, I'd say close to 700 feet of completely unused sanitary sewer in the ground, waiting to be expanded on. Same thing with water. There is a hydrant right there. I can't recall the name of the intersection just prior to the end of Hall of Fame Drive, but we're gonna connect to that one, and we've got more than enough capacity for that. As far as the traffic goes, we do have 2 ingress and egress points. We're basically gonna put right in between the dead end of Hall of Fame Drive and what I believe is Astor Way. And then the dead end of Hall of Fame Drive itself is gonna be getting extended approximately 200 feet into the development and paved back that way and connecting. As she mentioned, right now, it's a dead end, there's nothing back there, pretty underutilized. So this is looking to take advantage of that location with all these underutilized utilities and roadways out there. And we've got a direct connection to Highway 90, so we got plenty of state secondaries and access to go back there, if that answers the board's questions.
So will the street and the road in front of her house, will it be paved?
If you wouldn't mind, I can check out and see what. Okay, no, I'm sorry, Astor Way, we're not even gonna be messing with. Huntsboro is the roadway that cuts off right there, and from the end of Huntsboro to the dead end of Hall of Fame Drive is completely unused, but no, that's the, the west border of the property right there, and we're not even touching that or messing with it.
And city water will not be extended to her property?
No, sir.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for the clarifications. Ma'am, did that satisfy your curiosity?
yes,
Very nice, thank you.
thank you.
All right, is there anyone else in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition SPR 24-03? Seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close public comment.
Nelson and Kellamon the second. By hand sign, aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. Public comment is now closed on this petition. Discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. Looks fairly straightforward to me. I don't know if you guys were experiencing the same thing I was, but trying to pull up that big stack of measured drawings. My laptop kept going down.
Got a little janky.
It was a comprehensive set of drawings when I was looking at them on my computer at the house. Joe Hartburn, committee of the departments, everything's looking good. There's no further comment. Do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition SPR 24-03 as presented by the proponent?
It's 24-04.
I've got 24-03 on my hard copy.
Should be 04.
04.
Yeah, it should be 04.
Okay. Pen and ink change to the agenda. 24-04. All right, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition SPR 24-04 corrected as submitted by proponent?
move to approve SPR 24-04 as corrected.
Second.
McMahon and Nelson with the second. Mr. Angelo, will you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Mann,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig.
Yay. All right, congratulations, your petition has been unanimously approved. Next order of business. I see what ordinarily we would have joined together, we have split apart. Counselor, do we need to address these separately, or can we hear them simultaneously and then hold two votes?
And as much as the issues are different in the approval process, you really should consider them separately. And usually the second one many times goes more quickly than the first.
He said with a smirk. All right, at this time, let's move to petition CPA 24-01, as submitted by Carol Chadwick, acting as agent for MHP JR LLC, owner, to amend future land use map by changing the future land use from residential low county, 2 dwellings or less per acre, to residential high city density, 20 or less dwelling units per acre, on property described as follows, parcel number 08006-001. Mr. Young, prepared to introduce?
Project CPA 24-01 is for the comp plan amendment and has been reviewed by city staff. Application is sufficient for review, and after review of the petition and the city staff, after review of the petition, the city staff has determined that the petition is consistent with the land development regulations and the comprehensive plan. At this time, the city has no concerns.
Very nice. Anything for Mr. Young?
Mr. Chair, it just dawned on me that the oath I gave at the beginning of the first one was only for that application. So, Mr. Young, do you swear that the testimony you just gave as to application CPA 2401 was the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And do you swear that the testimony you're going to give on application Z2401 will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, we're handled moving forward,
All right.
Mr. Chair.
And I will be introducing this into evidence.
Yes, thank you.
All right, this time do we have Ms. Carroll, you want to come up? You swear the testimony you're about to give before the board this evening, to the best of your knowledge, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Very nice.
Carol Chadwick, 1208 Southwest Fairfax Glen, Lake City, Florida.
And let us know what you were trying to accomplish.
Let me get back to my map. Well, we are proposing to change the zoning and land use, and you'll get to the other one later, for phase 2 of the Sugar Mill Apartments. It will access the new parcel going through the existing project where you turn off Grandview, go down to Sugar Mill Way, and then you'll go into the new development. It's 2.33 acres, so they're anticipating 46 dwelling units there. It seems pretty straightforward since this is phase 2 of a successful apartment complex. But to see if anyone has any questions.
So up to present, there has been no city zoning categorization for this particular parcel.
No, it was annexed into the city in January, which I found out after submitting to the county.
All right, anything for Ms. Chadwick from members of the board?
Mr. Chair, Ms. Chadwick, are you moving your application into the record?
I've never done that before, but I certainly, well, it should be the part of the package that Mr. Young has. I didn't-
Just clarifying for your benefit that you're moving it into
Yes.
the record. Okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you. All right.
Just for clarification, everything that's part of our agenda packets is part of the record, right?
It is not necessarily. It is information, what is in your packets is information for the board And until someone offering testimony moves it into the record, it is not part of the official record.
Oh my, okay. We've been flying by seat of pants for the last 15 years then.
Yes.
Right, this time, is there anyone else in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition CPA 24-01 as presented by proponent?
Comment.
If you would like to go on record, please come down. You swear the testimony you're about to give before this board this evening, to the best of your skill and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo, please.
David Kraft, C-R-A-F-T, 2327 South Marion Avenue, Lake City, Florida.
Right.
I just want people to know I own the property adjacent to where they're putting these apartments, where they're putting there. And Sugar Mills Apartments is right next to me. And I've had to take 2 trees down because the water is all in my yard. It hasn't went to the retention pond like it's supposed to go. And I think this needs looked into before they progress any farther. I had to take one side of my house and have a ditch dug all the way down it because the front of my house was flooded. So they need to look at getting the retention pond straightened out. That's all I can say.
Mr. Angelo, do you recall, were all phases of this development with a SPR at the same time, or will we see this separately for another SPR review prior to implementation?
You will see it again, so not SPR.
So to allay some of your fears, this is the first step in a multi-step project or process.
I just want to make sure when
This is for making an amendment to the planning atlas and for applying a city zoning category to recently annexed property that currently holds a, I guess you could call it a vestigial county designation. Prior to implementation, the proponent will have to come back before this board to address the issues of wastewater, sanitary, landscaping, et cetera, as part of what we call a site review or site plan review process. So we're a little early in the phase to start talking about what the wastewater plans are. However, Ms. Chadwick, you've heard the issues.
I'd be interested to know which properties it is.
I can show you. Right next to the apartments. Apartments, huh? Right there.
Oh, you're over here. Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm at parcel number
Please
06,
come forward closer to the microphone if you're gonna speak.
parcel number 06-4S-17-07982-000.
Okay, so that can be brought into the site plan review process and potentially those effects can be mitigated.
Flooded right now, it's all wet back there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, are there any other members present this evening that would like to speak either for or against petition CPA 24-01 as presented by proponent? Seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion to close public hearing? Mr. Kellum and Mr. Nelson with the second. By hand sign? Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. Public comment on this petition is now over. Discussion amongst members of the board and the city. Cut and dry? All right, there's no further discussion. Do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition CPA 24-01 as presented by agent of proponent?
Motion to approve CPA 24-01.
Second.
Nelson and McMahon on the second. Mr. Angelo, will you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rand,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig.
Yay. All right, CPA 24-01 is unanimously approved. Moving right along to its partnering petition, petition Z 24-01, also submitted by Carol Chadwick, acting as agent, to amend official zoning atlas of the land development regulations, City of Lake City, by changing the zoning district from residential single-family to county to residential multifamily to city on property described as follows. Parcel 08006-001. Mr. Young? Want to come up and just say second verse, same as the first?
Project Z 24-01 is for a rezoning and has been reviewed by city staff. Application is sufficient for review. After review of the petition, the city staff has determined that the petition is consistent with the land development regulations and the comprehensive plan. And at this time, the city has no concerns. And this will be introduced as evidence into the record.
Nice, thank you, Mr. Young. All right, on back down, Ms. Carroll, and I remind you, you are still under oath.
Okay, this is, obviously the project I previously discussed a few minutes ago, and I would like to enter the application into, what was the exact wording?
Into the record.
Into the record, please.
So noted.
Any questions for me?
Anything for Ms. Carroll? All right, you may be seated. All right, is there anyone in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition Z 24-01 as submitted? Seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close public comment.
Second. Nelson and McCellum on the second. By hand sign? Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right, public comment on this petition is now closed. Discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. Second verse, same as the first?
Yeah.
All right, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition Z 24-01 as submitted by agent of the proponent?
Motion to approve C 24-01 as presented by the agent for the proponent.
Second.
Nelson and McMahon on the second. Mr. Angelo, will you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yay.
Mr. Mann?
Yes.
And Mr. Leidig?
Yay. All right, both petitions have been unanimously passed. I guess we'll see you next time
Yes.
for a site plan review that
Yes, you will.
has some hydrology in it.
You'll see me for a lot more problems. Thank you.
All right, that concludes the new business section of planning and zoning. That moves us to workshop items. Does anyone on the rostrum, either with city departments, our partnering attorney, or members of the board, have anything they would like to discuss regarding workshop items for the betterment of this board?
Mr. Leidig, not at this workshop, but I would like to see if Mr. Martin would be willing to do in the May agenda, do kind of a procedural workshop and kind of work something between us and, you know, kind of work out something for that workshop.
Okay.
To kind of go over procedural, if that would be good with you.
We can do that.
Might it be advisable that we hold off until the applications currently in the hands of the city clerk have been acted upon by council, and hold off on our procedural session until we populate more of our empty seats so that they will have the benefit of that as well?
And I can toss this out as kind of a way to bridge the gap between now and then would be maybe set up a time that I can meet with growth management staff and the chair to just kind of do a very light briefing before we dedicated time and after those appointments for the full board.
My schedule is usually fairly fluid and accommodating, so yeah, I think us pre-meeting while we wait on the city council to act upon our vacancies, and then planning to hold our procedural workshop as soon as some of those positions are filled would be a good idea.
Okay, we'll get with them and get it scheduled.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then additionally, when those spots get filled, hopefully before the supervisor's elections office starts sending these out, In addition to procedural stuff, can you also be prepared to speak on the importance of preparation and filing of the Form 1?
Yes.
Not the Form 6, we don't have to do that.
No.
But,
Yes, we can address Form
But
1.
a lot of people have heard about the Form 6 in the news media and are a bit apprehensive about joining this board thinking they have to fill one
Not yet.
out. What?
I said, not yet. Give it time. I'm sure the legislature will.
Again, he said with a smirk. All right, anything else for good of the board under workshop items? Seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion to adjourn planning and zoning, regular session, April 9th, 2024?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
McMahon, Nelson with the second. All in favor, hand sign? Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. Planning and zoning stands adjourned for the evening. At this time, I call to order Board of Adjustments, City of Lake City, April 9th, 2024. Roll call shall remain the same. Electronic versions of our meeting minutes from previous session held on 5th of March, 2024 were distributed electronically via email of record. I trust everyone had the opportunity to examine those. At this time, are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes as forwarded through electronic messaging?
None.
All right, seeing and hearing none, do we have a motion for their adoption?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
McCellum and McMahon on the second. By hand vote, aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. Meeting minutes are unanimously passed, Mr. Angelo. There's no old business to come before this board. Moving to new business. Petition SE 24-01, petition submitted by Kathy Ebaugh, acting as agent for Millennium Bank Shares Incorporated for a special exception for parcels 02712-001 and 02714-009, both within Commercial Highway Interchange CHI zoning district, as regulated by Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City, Section 4.15. Mr. Young.
Mr. Chairman, it should be SE 24-03.
Very nice, pen and ink change on your agendas, everybody.
Got this all. Mr. Chairman, I administer the oath.
Oh, by all
Okay.
means.
Mr. Young, do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God as to this application?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, please introduce the petition.
The project name is Gateway RV Park Special Exception. It's SE 24-03. Parcels involved are 02714-009 and 02712-001. This is 34.2 total acres. This is has been reviewed by city staff. The application is sufficient for review. After review of the petition, the city staff has determined that the petition is consistent with the land development regulations and the comprehensive plan, and at this time, the city has no other concerns.
All right, anything else for Mr. Young from the board? All right, you may be seated. All right, do we have either Kathy Ebaugh or another agent acting on behalf of the proponent?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jay Brown. I'm the president of JB
Not yet,
Pro.
not yet.
Okay, I'm ready when you're ready.
All right. You swear the
Jay
testi-
Brown, do the testimony now? Okay.
You swear the testimony you're about to give before this board this evening, to the best of your knowledge and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Absolutely, I do.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
J Brown, the legal address, 3736 Southwest 5th Place, Gainesville, Florida, 32607. Kathy Eval is our company's Director of Planning. I'm the president and owner of JB Pro, and I'll be doing the presentation today on behalf of the owner, Millennium Bank Shares. I prepared what I would call a fairly significant presentation. I'll probably go through it for you pretty quickly, and if there's anything in particular that you're interested in exploring further, Mr. Chair and chair members, please, interrupt me at any time if you have any questions or whatever. So is there?
Right over there.
What I can use to?
He's motioning.
Oh,
Got you,
sorry.
yes.
I wasn't looking in the right direction.
Either, these ones.
Okay, great, thank you. So thank you for having us tonight. We came before you in December and January, earlier January this year, and approved the zoning of this property. So we went before your Planning and Zoning Commission, obviously, for that. That was granted, and so both of the properties are now, let's see if I can advance. There we go. That's me. JB Pro, we're headquartered in Gainesville, but we do work up here in the city fairly often. So in this presentation, just kind of a little background. We'll talk about what our request is. I'll try to show you some evidence that we're in conformance with your comp plan and LDR, and I think your staff already mentioned that they have reviewed and believe that we are. I'll kind of run through some comments and then our request. And again, I will try to get through this pretty quickly. These two pictures just show the fact that it's two parcels. They're vacant and undeveloped right now. It's on Southwest Commerce Drive. The total is 34.2 acres, like Mr. Young mentioned. The zoning is Commercial Highway Interchange, CHI. So in order to do what we would like to do with this property, which is an RV resort, an RV park resort, it's required to be done by special exception, which is why we're here before you today. Again, the zoning is CHI. We've demonstrated the compatibility of the zoning to the adjacent properties with our rezoning that we did for you. And so our request is for a special exception to allow the development of an RV campground, commercial highway interchange zoning. We mentioned a few things that, in order to do this, special exception is required. We think that this property is perfect for it. The location right near I-75 and US 90, but then a little bit further south of the retail has a nice area there with a lot of natural features. We just think it's going to be great. The services that are there at US 90 are going to serve these folks that come in. They'll spend money in your local economy here. The property size is big enough. We have the ability to provide buffering. There's some natural environmental concerns on the property from the standpoint of wetlands, so we'll save wetlands, we'll put buffers. We have one area of wetland that will impact, but we will mitigate that appropriately with the Water Management District and do all the work that they will require us to do for that. This is a copy of our conceptual master plan at this point. I don't know if this has a pointer or not.
The middle button.
Okay, great. So this is Commerce Drive. Coming up, up here is US 90, right, and I-75 is running right here. So as you come down Commerce Drive and you get down here, what we would propose, and we heard from a couple of citizens, and then as we talked at the rezoning, we mentioned that we would be doing a turn lane off of Commerce Drive so that the local traffic that goes down to the residential neighborhoods down here, that the RVs would be able to get off the road and not clog up the road. So we will, as part of our site plan development, add a right turn lane. This would be our entrance. I think when we were here before, he was here earlier, Mr. Zuber, had some concerns about our access being close to this office retail complex that's here. And their driveway is like right here. So we have only an emergency access here, but our main entry where we control all the folks coming in is down here on the, much further to the east. So we have plenty of room to get the RVs. I really wanted to get them beyond this corner so we have good sight visibility and get further down before they turn in. So then we have, up in here, there'll be some, controlled access. We have parking. There'll be, an entry building where you can check in and all that kind of stuff. And then there's 280 units planned currently on this plan. That's a little bit flexible, I say plus or minus, because depending on the size of those, RVs that might be used here, they could, maybe combine some or make some a little smaller. But generally, that's about how it works out. I think the original goal was maybe to get to about 300 units. We think we're probably going to be a little bit less than that. We have a very large stormwater management system, as you might notice there, and then we have another one here. There's a lot of off-site stormwater that kind of comes through this property, so we're just planning for a lot of, stormwater management. This is a natural wetland here, and, the buffer is shown around it, and then the stormwater beyond that. So the site generally drains in this direction, and then there is water coming through here, and then there's a ditch that runs right down through the property here that goes off-site. So I've been in touch with Mr. Chad Williams from Columbia County, who has expressed that he has a lot of knowledge about how the stormwater works here. So I told him, and I mentioned that to Mr. Angelo, that we would work with Mr. Williams to find out any information he has. They've done some studying of this system right here. So that's one of the reasons why we put kind of a lot of stormwater management on this site, so that we can make sure we can take care of all the stormwater. So there will be amenities. The ownership group here really wants to make this something that we can really be proud of. I mean, they really plan to do this as a resort with nice amenities and that sort of thing, and they want to compete with some of the best RV parks around. I don't know if you're familiar with one that they have kind of up at McClinney off I-10, but it's amazing the facilities that they have, and this is kind of what we envision here, that ultimately this will be a really good location for that, close to the interstate, that sort of thing. So we really believe it's going to be a great park. I won't go through all of this stuff, but I will tell you that we demonstrated that the facilities are available. There is concurrency available in terms of transportation, water, sewer, solid waste, recreation, schools, and we did the calculations for each one of these with trip generation on the traffic side of things, with the amount of units and sanitary sewer. And as you see where it says number of units there, we based it on 300 units. Even though we probably won't get there, we made sure there was enough concurrency capacity available if 300 units were reached. Same thing with potable water. And then as far as drainage, the main thing about drainage is that we have to meet your code, and also the environmental requirements with FDEP related to wetlands, and also the Suwannee River Water Management District. And solid waste, you have a concurrency criteria. We demonstrated that. And then as far as recreation, there are level of service standards for recreation in your comp plan, and of course we're providing some of that. So I think we're going to help with that, from the recreation standpoint. But you meet that. There's recreation available. And then lastly, school concurrency is another thing, but these types of facilities actually don't generate students for your schools, so actually we don't really have an impact on the concurrency at all. Then we went through and kind of looked at your comprehensive plan, what policies, goals, and objectives you have in the comprehensive plan, and how this would meet that. For instance, the first policy about locating higher density residential, that they should be on or near arterial collector roads, we meet that. That you have to set aside lands for different types of uses, including recreational use like this from the RV standpoint. Policy 1.6.2 talks about providing drainage and stormwater management, open space, and safe traffic flow. And that's one of the reasons that we, again, put the right turn lane on that road. And policy 1.6.5 talks about where you can put commercial and that sort of thing, and you want to be able to have these different types of uses and a mix of uses in an area, and that's what we've done. So I really don't want to go through all these policies for you, but we did address policies in the traffic element, recreation and open space, and essentially we demonstrated that this project would be in conformance with your comprehensive plan. And the same things that goes with your land development regulations. There are standards that we'll have to meet in the LDRs. You know, they talk about land use patterns, they talk about, you know, population density patterns and how you know, you won't overload the roads and that sort of thing. And so we address some of these. Would it be advantageous to the community and the neighborhood? Will it adversely influence living conditions in the neighborhood? And we really think that this is an ideal location, this vacant property right near I-75. It's kind of an entry into Florida. We just think it's gonna be really an ideal location for this. We will do a traffic study, you know, talking about number F in terms of traffic congestion. When we submit our final plans, we'll submit a traffic study along with it that will demonstrate, for instance, you know, what is the length of that turn lane that we have to do, just making sure that we're distributing trips, that sort of things. If there's any other improvements that we need to do with the roadway system right there, we would address that with those final development plans. There's a comment about the drainage problem, and we, you know, talk with, will it create a drainage problem? And so, you know, our company has experience for the last 30 years designing stormwater management and permitting stormwater management systems and working in and around wetlands. And we've done projects right here in Lake City and Columbia County. And so we're very used to these standards. And again, when we submit our final development plans, we will have a appropriate stormwater management system that we will design for the project. And, you know, again, there's a lot of LDRs that we could talk about and discuss, but as we go through the final development plans, we'll have to meet all those concerns in terms of buffer requirements and making sure that we're doing stormwater management, that we have the right roadway widths, that we're, you know, providing the right facilities, that we provide water and sewer service to all of these units, that we're providing the appropriate electrical service, you know, all these type of things that your codes will require, we will do. And we believe that buffering is really important. There is a multifamily apartment complex to the east, but the beauty of it, that's where that big wetland is and the stormwater is. So our actual development where the RVs are gonna be are way far away from them. So we have some natural buffering that's gonna happen there, which is, we think is really an ideal situation for this site. And staff did do a review of this and provide us comments. And one of the more important comments was, there wasn't a lot of comments because some of the things like when you get into water and sewer and those issues in the building department, they're gonna be looking at when we get to final development plans and submit for the building permits for the amenity centers and the, you know, buildings on the campus, that sort of thing. But there was a couple of, you know, comments regarding the fact that the site has a flood zone on it and that we need to address that. And then again, if you look at Swanee River Management District, you know that an environmental resource permit will be required. There was a comment 10 about a TAP application for water and sewer. And I've already been in communication with Lake City Utilities in terms of how we'll service this project with water and sewer, and it is available. And then lastly was this comment from the county, and this mentioned traffic and stormwater flooding. And so that's when I reached out to Chad Williams. He was the one that made these comments. You all may be familiar with Chad. He's the Public Works Director for Columbia County, and I respect, you know, his comments and his knowledge, the local knowledge that he has in this area. So we will be more than happy to submit, you know, the traffic study and our stormwater management plan for his review. Because, you know, the thing is, as professional engineers, when we're designing these systems, we're just as responsible as anybody for making sure that they work right. So if he has information about the normal flows and how that works, and there's a couple of swales on the property or ditches that are cut through, and he was describing to me how the water moves through there. So he was explaining why we need to leave that open, because sometimes the water goes both ways. So he provides a lot of good information. I've agreed to sit down with him as we have our plans and make sure that we have a great system to handle the stormwater management that's going through that area. So, and that's essentially what the response was to the city comments. So again, I really believe this is an ideal location for this. We are required to be before you today to obtain a special use permit, a special exception, so that we can do this RV resort on this property on the CHI zoned parcel. And that is our request, to allow the development of an RV campground on the commercial highway interchange zone parcel as permitted by section 4.15.5 of the Lake City Land Development Regulations. And I'm sorry that was a little long, but I just felt like I ought to get that information in for you, so.
That was wonderfully well prepared and presented. I wish so many of our petitioners would pay that level of detail.
Well, thank you, and I'm obviously here for any questions, Mr. Chair.
I do have one question. Your PowerPoint that you submitted, you want to enter that into the evidence as that was not part of the package submittal?
Yes, we would like to have it entered into
Do we have
evidence.
an exhibit number for
I
that?
do, Exhibit A.
Exhibit A.
Robert, do we have it in here?
Yes, I printed it, but it wasn't in the packet when it went out.
And,
Packet gets entered in.
Yeah.
starting off, like I said, that was almost a site plan review level of analysis for an SC request. That was really banger. Obviously, after this process, there will be an actual SPR process for some of the additional questions that were brought up and will get analyzed. I do have a couple of questions, and maybe this is more suitable for when we get to the SPR phase of it. As far as the business model for the entity goes, is there a codified stay limit for how long the individuals will be able to have their equipment on this site? You had indicated usually these are transitory individuals, but also we know that in this day and age, you have a lot of folks that are living out of their RVs, and
Right.
what starts as a 14-day stay turns into a 14-month stay.
Right. I am very aware of that criteria and those issues because we have designed several other RV parks around Florida, and it has certainly come up. I have not had those discussions with this ownership group. They have no intention of this being a living facility, I can tell you that. I mean, it's not their business model, and it really is planned to be an RV resort. I'm sure, I know there are some state requirements, and I'm not exactly sure if you all have a codified LDR section on that, but if you do, of course, we would have to abide by that. And that is something that we're willing to work with the board and bring you a proposal when we bring our land development, our final development plan to you. So I know this is a very experienced group. They've managed hotels and these type of facilities. So, they do anticipate having, people coming from all over to use this facility, but not, someone that's gonna stay for 9 months or something like that, or try to stay all year round. I think, it makes sense to define that. I don't know that it's codified though, so we can do that research, and when we come back before you for the development plan, we can bring you a proposal for that.
Is there any intention, you're pretty close to having a full site plan put together, I can see. Is there any intention to have any US Postal Service boxes for potential residents? Or is this intended to be of such a transitory nature that US Postal Services will not be required by the clientele here?
That's a very interesting question, and we've, as I mentioned, we've designed 3 or 4 of these, and I'm not even sure that's come up. And I'm not sure, I have an RV myself, and I've gone to a few places, not too many, because I haven't had it for that long, but I haven't seen the Postal Service in those.
Because generally, once people start getting their mail there, they're less likely to leave.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's nothing that we've put in the plan now, I can assure you of that. Interestingly, we were just dealing with the US Postal Service here on a residential subdivision project we're doing west on US 90. And we were putting 163 mailboxes, and we just got in touch with your US Postal Service representative here. So since we've already made that connection, I think it'd be a good idea to reach out to them and see what they have, if they have any experience in that regard. But there's been no discussion about it. It's a great point that's been brought up. But I can just tell you, at this time, we have no plans to allow people to get any mail at this facility. So
That'll help it stay as
Yeah.
transitory as possible.
Right.
The The only other question I had, looking at the current property, it is planted in row pine for the aesthetic buffers you were talking about, the 25 and 40-foot width. Would those be using these existing row pines, or would you be bringing in off-site species of trees as opposed to just linear spindly pine?
Yeah, where we achieve a real buffer with the natural vegetation, we would want to take advantage of that. And usually what we do is, like, our landscape architects would look at that, look at the intent of the buffer, and they would plant to fill in those spaces. So we would be developing a landscape plan for all the buffers. So some of it is planted pines, but there is, in some of the edges, there's a lot of more, thicker woods and that sort of thing. So they would make great natural buffers, but where there's not, we will be planting, doing a landscape plan for that. So, yeah, that is part of our proposed services, is bringing our final development plan. It'll include landscape plans.
As I can tell you, working for the Forest Service, 25-foot deep section of planted pine, you can see through that pretty good.
Yeah, that's not the intent, right.
All right, that's all I had. Any members of the board can go ahead and chime in. Do you have anything for agent of owner? All right, hearing none, you may be seated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, is there anyone else in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition SE 24-03 corrected as it was presented? Please step forward. You swear the testimony you're about to give before the board this evening, to the best of your knowledge and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely, yes.
Very nice. Name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
My name is Jim Zuber. I reside at 2356 Southwest Logan Road, Lake City, Florida. I am a representative of Cornerstone Partners, who's the adjacent parcel owner. You mentioned the office retail space that's near that parcel. And mostly has expressed the last meeting our enthusiastic embrace of the design and the use and our support of it. Jay's team has done a great job reflecting again that being an emergency exit, which is our primary concern. And I know this is not a site plan review. So I'm confident they're going to do a great job. I think the thing that we look forward to as a city, realizing this is a great opportunity for the improved area of commerce that's up by Cracker Barrel to get finished down to Real Road. Because you've got no sidewalks, you've got people walking in the ditch, you've got travelers that are at those hotels walking through the wetlands. It's really a bad situation. But as part of that, I hope the city has a vision to, I know there's a lot of job grants, there's infrastructure grants and things that I'm sure David and his team are aware of that could really springboard this into a good opportunity for us to kind of, as a community, to finish connecting that hospitality zone, because that's really what it is. People that stay in there decide they're not going to cook tonight, they can walk up to Cracker Barrel. So it's an important part of the next phase when you go into the site plan. So we're excited about it, and I think it's a great move, good use of the land.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition SE 24-03? You swear the testimony you're about to give before this board this evening, to the best of your skill and ability, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Very nice. Your name with spelling and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo.
Tina Patel, 369 Tacoma Place, Jonesboro, Georgia, 30236. I'm a representative of G's Management Holdings, as well as DDSBJ that owns adjacent property next to the Cracker Barrel and across the street from this proposed site. I don't have
Go ahead.
a support or not a support. I actually have a question that I wanted to understand because, and you can please inform me if this is not the right forum. I was just received a letter and I'm here to understand a little bit more about what the proposal is. I wasn't informed or didn't know about the site plan, and I think we plan to talk afterwards, so that's okay. But I did have some concern because our property is at the turn corner there. And so with the RV park traffic going, I think it's proposed here at the edge by the water pond. So I just wanted to understand the impact because we're literally, our parcel is right there on the corner, and I would imagine U-turning or large RVs, if they don't have a way to kind of get in that way, they could take it left and go right into our site.
All right, for the benefit of all of us here, is the laser pointer still on the podium there? You wanna grab the laser pointer from our IT specialist? Or from our director? On the map, would you be kind enough to point to your area of concern? So those are your parcels and your
And the other one is here, I believe this is where the shopping center is.
North is to the right.
Yeah.
You need to rotate the
This is
map.
a shopping center, and then here is Cracker Barrel, and next to Cracker Barrel is our parcel, and of course the hotel, and then the IHOP. So we have a parcel there, and then here is the one that I'm speaking about on the corner, where the shopping center curves. Directly across, it's like an odd shaped parcel piece, is our space.
All right, you have comments or questions for the petitioner regarding what'll take place at that particular arc of that turn?
Yeah. And just generally speaking, we're always, we're hoteliers as well, we're always supportive. I spoke to the developer on our way here, so not, necessarily in opposition, but just wanting to get information and what the thoughts, I think the gentleman before me proposed thoughts around sidewalking and ensuring that that area, as it has more traffic, even more foot traffic, that there's an opportunity that we really think about that ahead of time. But our piece, and I've also spoken around, I've got a letter about FEMA, and he was talking about the water, the wetland piece. I don't know, because we're across from the road, how much impact that would really have on us, but there's been a proposal to rezone that into a wetland. We've never had water come that way, but I don't know if there would be any, impact with how the development of here would run off into here, if any.
To the right of the development there, that large ovular shape, if I'm interpreting this correctly, that is actually a water retention feature, if anything. No,
There's two of them.
there's two of them.
Where it
This here?
says 25-foot buffer
Move up a bit,
This thing.
on the
move
road,
up,
Me too.
down,
right?
the oval in this,
Oh,
right
this,
there.
okay,
That's stormwater retention
And
too.
that's right
Okay.
across from
right across from
that
this,
wetland over there.
yeah.
So if anything, they may steal a little bit of your swamp.
Yeah.
Your property
Well-
might get drier.
Well, the thing is, I've never seen water there, that's what I was just speaking, is like, we've never had any, but there's some maps that are proposed to change it to that, and so that's what I wanted to, I'm here today to, we'll talk about that, but to try to clarify that, with FEMA or whatever the processes may be, and then have an opportunity to work together.
I think most of your concerns are gonna be covered during the site plan review process. However, if the agent for proponent, do you have any specific answers to some of her concerns that you would like to read into the record?
I can at least try to comment on one aspect of it. So this does have a very large wetland, but one thing I can point out is, and it may be like right in here, but there is a culvert right under the road right here. So it already discharges. The reason why, you may not have seen as much is because the water does flow into this property. And so that's why we have this swale shown right here, so that we can allow the water that already overflows from this property to the north. It all kind of funnels down into a low area right here, and it goes underneath the road. And I think if we could read that little call out right there, it should say existing storm culvert or existing culvert. And so we're gonna make sure that that water can still go through like it does and come down through this swale right here. So we are very aware of the stormwater on the north side towards your property. And it is very important that we take care of it, because one thing as an engineer, when we're working on these drainage plans, is you have to make sure you're taking care of the water that comes to you from other properties. So it was very important it was actually kind of hard to find that culvert because it was underwater when we went to do the surveys. But I knew it was there because I found an old plan, and then as soon as the water receded, we were able to find the culvert. But it is important that we keep those natural drainage flows happening. So it's paramount to us that we don't cause an impact to these upstream properties so that water doesn't, get back up here and can't get through. So we're very aware of that, and we are absolutely gonna be dealing with that.
Fantastic. That's my concern, and I'm hopeful that we'll have open communication about that, and however we can work together, that'd be great.
Right. And to the extent that we can help with the the sidewalk and things like that, if we did something on our property, I mean, obviously, we probably can't fix the whole road, all the way up to all those other businesses and everything, but, I think it's logical to think that we could start and, do it on our frontage and that sort of thing and help that process begin, so. And we'll be happy to work with the county. Is Commerce a county road or is that a city road?
It's a city road.
It is a city road. So we'll work with the city and whatever to try to, get that started or whatever we can do, so, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else in attendance that would like to speak either for or against petition SE 24-03 as presented? Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close public comment.
McMahon and McCellum on the second, by hand sign. Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. Public comment on this petition is now closed. Discussion amongst members of the board and city departments. It's all pretty straightforward, at least from a SE standpoint. I guess we'll see what they bring us for SPR. Just out of curiosity, do you guys have a time frame on when you're planning on submitting for SPR?
We're gonna start right away.
Okay. All right, any additional discussion? Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove petition SE 24-03 as presented by agent of owner?
Move to approve SC 24-03.
Second.
Mann and Nelson on the second. Mr. Angelo, will you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Mann,
Yes.
and Mr. Lydic.
Yay. Congratulations, petition SE 24-03 passes unanimously. Having passed through all of our new business, at this time we have our workshop section. Is there anyone, either a member of the board, a member of city staff, or our board counselor that has anything they would like to bring up for the good of the board under workshop? All right, hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion to adjourn Board of Adjustment?
Motion to adjourn board adjustment.
Second.
Nelson, McMahon on the second, by hand sign. Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right, Board of Adjustment, City of Lake City, April 9th, 2024 stands adjourned. This time I call to order the Historic Preservation Agency, City of Lake City, in regular session. The date is April 9th, 2024. Roll call shall remain the same. Earlier you had electronic copies of our meeting minutes of regular session, March 5th, 2024, presented to you. I trust everyone had the opportunity to read and review those electronic minutes as submitted. At this time, are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to those minutes as submitted?
None.
Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion for their adoption?
Motion to adopt minutes.
Second.
Nelson and McMahon on the second. By hand vote? Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. All right, we have meeting minutes. At this time, we have no old business. I see we have new business listed here twice. Is that due to the fact that COA 24-10 should actually be a consent agenda item and not new
Yes.
business?
That is correct. Whenever I did the agenda, I had to duplicate the new business and then change it to consent agenda. And I guess it didn't take the apply button.
It happens. All right, so there being no old business and no new business, we have one item on our consent agenda. Would someone from Growth Management like to come down and introduce the consent agenda?
This is consent agenda for certificate of appropriateness 24-10. This is repainting of the house at 160 Southeast St. John Street, parcel 12773-000. The owner of record has requested that she repaint the house, wanted to keep it as close as possible with, you look at your package, you can see the deterioration of the wood that's going to be replaced like for like as close as possible. The paint, I am sorry, the paint samples did not come out when they were copied.
White on a Xerox never
Yes.
works.
But it is something that we looked at in office and approved, and this is what we're presenting to y'all as the consent agenda for y'all's approval on.
All right, just as a matter of form, asking the question, did you by any chance happen to see any historic photographs of this structure while you were reviewing this application?
No, sir, but I understand that somebody has some.
Not only do I have some, but I also know that that structure used to be the white that you guys had approved. So if anything, this is taking it back to its original appearance as it was.
We go by the paint palettes that are for that era.
Yeah.
And when we look at them, that's what we're looking at for each era, or whichever house the era is built in.
And this, this minor and maintenance work that's on the consent agenda that's already been approved at the growth management level and is only awaiting ratification. This is just for damaged boards, minor sort of things,
Yes.
replacing like in kind. As they continue the restoration of this property, will we see them come before us with more substantive work for defining architectural characteristics or a roof or, redoing the porch or what have you? Is this the first in what hopefully will be many steps to restore this property?
Yes, that's what she has indicated to us.
I think the next step is the roof.
That property goes by the name of the Chalker Turner House. And when I moved to town in 2007, it was in a shabby condition. Seeing that it is getting the attention it needs is very inspiring. Anything else for members of the board? All right. Do we have a motion to ratify the decisions made by Department of Growth Management as part of the consent agenda?
Ratify the consent agenda.
Second.
McMahon and Nelson with the second. Mr. Angela, please call the yeas and the nays.
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Mann,
Yes.
and Ms. Lyden.
Yay. All right, consent agenda has been ratified and all decisions by the board are now good.
Of course, sir.
Workshop items, we haven't talked about it yet. I don't imagine we've got anything to discuss. Workshop items, coming around the horn, anything, anybody? All right, seeing, hearing none. At this time, do we have a motion to adjourn Historic Preservation Agency regular session?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Nelson and McMahon on the second. By a hand vote, in favor? Aye. Hands down, likewise opposed. We We stand adjourned. Please cut the audio and the video.